Great.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Today we are very excited to welcome and introduce yet another new Philly, as outfielder Nick Castellanos has signed a 5-year contract with the club. In a few moments, you're going to have the opportunity to hear not only from Nick, but also from Phillies President of Baseball Operations, Dave Dombrowski, Phillies Manager Joe Girardi, and the agent for Nick Castellanos, Scott Boras. But at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Dave Dombrowski to say a few words.
Thank you, Kevin. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for coming. This may seem like a regular occurrence here, but we're very happy to have you back here. And so, again, a special thanks to our ownership to make this happen, to Ned Rice, who did the negotiations with Scott, and appreciate what they did. But we're just absolutely thrilled to have Nick Castellanos on board with us. I've known Nick, of course, for a long time. He's one of the premier hitters in Major League Baseball. The other thing, though, I think that brings with him, and very similar to what we talked about, is that he's in a position where he brings more than just the bat to the lineup, and with his determination, winning atmosphere, chemistry that he brings to the clubhouse, a championship type of individual. And so for us, it's really been a focus and concentration on being in a position where we made some adjustments, I guess is the best way to do it, in our clubhouse, and bring some people on that has that type of mentality. And I know that Nick has that. So absolutely thrilled that he's on board, and looking forward to him hitting in the middle of our lineup or wherever our manager so chooses to have him hit. So, so welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's present something to Nick here.
We even got the number you wanted to have. So there you go. There you go. You're in good shape. Congratulations. Looks good. Looks great, actually. And we'll give you a hat, too. So you got one, but here's another one. Take two and go to right.
It's worked so far.
Yeah.
New buttons, man.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dave. And with that, we can start with questions. If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait for a microphone to be passed to you. We can start over here on the left with Alex.
Hey, Nick. Over here. What was it about Philadelphia that appealed to you, just generally speaking?
I mean, just where well, first off, the organization's committed to winning. You know, you see that from the start with ownership. So just the opportunity to be here, to play with these guys. You know, I'm excited to be teammates with Bryce again. We won a gold medal together in Venezuela in 2009. So just a lot of things for me to be excited about. Also, my wife's family is an hour away in Jersey, so, you know, really convenient.
Did you go back and forth with Bryce, because you obviously have this relationship from knowing him at USA Baseball? Like, throughout this process, did you talk to him?
I did. Bryce also played a part in getting this deal done. So, you know, big thanks to him.
What was he like as a teammate when you guys were, what, 18?
Extremely talented, and even back then, like, he knew how good he was. So, you know, I'm excited to play with him.
And this one's for Dave. Back when you were with the Tigers, what stood out to you about Nick? You know, even when you drafted him, what stood out?
Well, David Chad was our scouting director at that time, and a very good one. And I remember at the time, we had Nick ranked as one of the top players in the draft. And it was the same year Manny Machado came out. And he was talking to me about, he says, I know everybody's talking about Machado, but this guy can hit with anybody. And so even back then, we had him. Now, he was an athlete. He played shortstop. We didn't think he'd be a shortstop just because he was big and in that spot. But always then, he just loved to play the game, always played hard, could hit, and always had a determination to him.
Jim on the right.
Nick, the postseason, October, this city and franchise is very hungry to get back there. And I know you've played briefly in a couple postseasons, but I've also heard you talk about how you want to get there for bigger taste. Can you articulate how bad you want that and how you think you can help maybe deliver that destination to this franchise?
All right, that was a lot of questions wrapped up. Which one do you want me to answer first?
You want to get to the postseason.
I mean, I've played over 1,000 big league games and I have 0 playoff wins. You know what I'm saying? So cool. Like, I've made money, I've hit homers, I've played on TV, but I haven't won no games that matter. You know what I'm saying? So I would like to do that.
What is it about Philadelphia that you think, or the Phillies, that you think can help you get there? What do you see for ingredients here?
Well, as far as I've only been here one day, and already you can tell that everybody on the staff is really like a players first kind of guy. And I mean, I only can control what I can control, and that's just being the best version of myself every day. Wherever the chips fall, they're going to fall.
Is third base something that's completely in the past for you?
No?
You open to give it a try, or are there any plans, Joe, to ask him to give it a try?
That's up to these guys, But like, whatever the team needs, I have a Philly hat on, so whatever, I don't know how good of a pitcher I'll be, but
Why don't you stick to hitting, all right?
whatever they need,
Yeah, no, our plans are to play him in left and right and DH. And Nick talked about he still likes to take ground balls. So he will do that. That's part of his routine, his everyday routine. He was explaining that to me. So my eyes will be open when he's there. I once played Vernon Wells at third base because I saw him take ground balls on days he didn't play, and I had to put him there in a ninth inning, and it worked.
Dave, what made Nick the right guy for you to, tell ownership this is our opportunity to go to the Tabs, or the opportunity we're looking for, where we should go with Tabs?
Well, as the free agent field, I mean, it seems like this people have talked about, but as we were sitting there and the free agent field came through and people were signing, and we had signed Schwarbs at that time. Every day John Middleton walks into my office and says to me, well, how can we get better? What else can we do? Is there anything else I can do for you? Is there anything? And he'd say, don't let anything stand in your way, any different thoughts. And our ownership has been fantastic since I've been here. And I'm sure they will continue to do that. We're very fortunate to have a group like that. And the night before, I was just looking over stuff like I always try to do and try to be comprehensive. And I was looking there and I thought, that bat sure would look nice in the middle of our lineup. I don't think he is signed anywhere at this, or is close to signing from what I've read. I've read rumors at that time. But I know how good a player he is and how good a hitter he is and what he brings to a team. And so, I mean, all of a sudden you talk about having the middle of the lineup with me, and however Joe decides to put it together, and you start talking about having Harper and Schwarber and Castellanos and Hoskins and Realmuto with it, some other people, and I said that's pretty good. I mean, great pitching shuts down anybody most of the time, but you have a chance to score a lot of runs with that lineup. And so the next morning when John came in, I had thought about it and I looked and thought, well, we got DH, we got left field, and I said, do you have a minute? And he said, sure. And it just so happened that Ned and Sam were in the office, Sam Fuld were in the office, and we started talking about it. And we talked, and he warmed up, and we talked to the Buck family too, and they warmed up about it and gave the okay to try to get it done. So they said, I don't really care about the payroll issues, the CBT issues. We want to win. We want to do what we can to make this happen. And I just know he's that type of player. I mean, he's a difference maker. He is. And not only, like I said, a difference maker, he grinds his at-bats, right? I mean, he grinds it. He's a great offensive player. But he also, in addition to that, he's a winner. And so the type of attitude and approach and get your uniform dirty and, just go ahead and get it done is what I know he brings to the clubhouse, and that's why I think it was so important for us.
Todd on the left.
Nick, from the moment the news broke that you were coming here, a lot of your new teammates said, we're excited because Nick plays with an edge, he plays with a lot of fire, a lot of emotion. How would you describe yourself? Is that accurate, how they kind of see you and know of you?
I mean, that's how people see me and want to describe me. You know, that's 100% on them. You know, I'm not here to say like I'm one way or the other. That's for you guys to determine. You know.
Do you feel like you play with an edge?
Do you think I play with an edge?
I see some emotion out there. Are you an emotional player?
I think I'm an emotional person. So, you know, just playing as a result of that.
How does that help you hit 30 home runs, knock in 100 runs, help teams win?
I have no idea. But I'm sitting here in this chair in a press conference. You know what I'm saying?
Scott, when Bryce came over here 3 years ago, you talked a lot about what he's going to bring to the organization. What do you think Nick's going to bring to this organization?
Before I answer that, I want to thank John Middleton for signing Nick, and now I don't get 4 phone calls a day for the last month from Bryce Harper. So I think Nick in Philadelphia, and Dave and I were talking about this because Dave has known Nick since, he started in the game and knew who Nick was, and knowing this environment, knowing this team, the harmony of this lineup and what Nick meant, because you have literally right, left throughout this lineup. I mean, it's a harmony. Forgive me, it's now a Philharmony, but you're talking about a dynamic that really suited a lineup so perfectly. And the one thing about Nick is that Nick is unforgiving to himself, is that he is always every day trying to be better. And it is not something that you ever have to mention to him. He's always asking, questioning, examining. Nothing about what he does surprises him, except for the next day he wants to do it better and more consistently. And that's a personality, I think, that really is fit for Philadelphia and for a group of professionals like this team has.
So when Bryce has got you on speed dial, what do you say to him as these months and weeks drag on?
Well, the first thing, you don't say a lot to Bryce. You listen a lot, and then you understand and say, I get it, because he wants to win. And obviously adding a player like Nick is that. And then all I do is I would just text Dave every day, and Dave would be equally troubled by the idea of the fit. And so we kind of knew going in that once they added Kyle and put this lineup together, that it really has a force to it that is to be reckoned with in the National League.
Rob on the right.
Nick, what do you know about the Philly fan base? You seem to be a guy who's going to be easy for them to embrace.
If you're playing well, they're going to let you know. If you're going to suck, if you suck, they let you know. You know, so I can live with that.
Jason.
Nick, you have a certain presence at home plate, like an attitude that great hitters have. How would you describe what that attitude is when you come to the plate in a big at bat?
I don't know. I think the best way to describe it is survival, right? Like, it's how I feed my family. I don't have a college degree. I hit baseballs.
Like, you have the look of a guy who's kind of making it clear you own that real estate where the plate is. Is that an exaggeration?
I mean, if you want to describe it like that, go right ahead. You know.
Joe, how would you describe it, and how much does your team need it?
You know, I think of players that I have played with that had that edge, and you could see it. Now, a lot of players have an edge. Some you see it more than others, right? So a guy that comes to my mind is Paul O'Neill. Every at-bat was as important as any at-bat, right? Right? So you could ask Paul how his day was, and he says, I was 2 for 4 and I gave 2 at-bats away. He'd be mad at himself, right? He could have 7 RBIs, and that's who he was. But I think Nick, that's important for a club, right? Because everyone sees how important every at-bat is, and I applaud him for being like that. I love it, because Paul O'Neill was one of my favorite guys to be around. Now, I was not like that. You know, I kept my emotions to myself. But I like players that play with emotion, because it shows you how much they care and how important it is, and it becomes infectious in a dugout, and everyone understands I'm not giving 1 at-bat away today. No matter what the score is, I'm going to grind out every at bat. And that's what Nick does. And I saw it for many years from across the dugout, and I'm glad I get to see it on our side.
Scott, how would you describe it?
Nick is actually someone who has got the athletic enthusiasm to every day improve, but he also has the academic process. It might come from his father, who's a doctor. It's kind of scientific. Everything is very thorough, it's precise, and it's something where I'll look, I'll see it, I'll go with it, and then I'll improve it. And in the end, if I do well, I know I got to do better tomorrow. It's never ever, it's never a valve that says I'm good where I'm at, and that describes the edge, I think. Always wanting to be better the next day.
That's incredibly accurate. Nice job.
Dave, you saw Nick at a really young age. Did you see that even then?
Yeah, I mean, he always was a guy that grinded his at-bats and took a lot of pride in each and every approach. He was around some really good hitters at that time, which I think really helped him because he saw what they did and followed them around. He was around a guy by the name of Cabrera, who was pretty good at that point, and watched what he did. But he followed him around, and he worked just as hard or harder than anybody. I also, and no, he's not. This guy's not looking for this, and may not mention, but I have to say, there's a guy that I've known for a long. It was in baseball for a while. He coached with us when I was with the Detroit Tigers. Brad Osmus brought him on board by the name of Matt Martin. And Matt Martin is a real outstanding baseball person. He works with hitters in Lubbock at this time. He's worked with Nick for years. I don't know exactly how, but for a while.
Since 2016, really.
Since 2016. And I will tell you, and I've become we had a good relationship with them out of respect, and we stayed in contact. And Matt Martin is also a Oklahoma Sooner fan, and graduated from there as my wife is, and he sends me Boomer Sooners. He sends me videos in the wintertime of Nick working out at his facility with him, and has sent them to me regularly. Just to show you, I mean, I'm talking about the middle of winter, working out for days at his facility to try to get better. And that's what he brings to the table. I mean, he wants to get better all the time, and he's got that focus. So I saw it years ago, but the thing that's great is I also see it now, and he's not at all content to be where he is now. He wants to get better.
We have time for just a couple more. Todd?
Nick, were you surprised that the Phillies came in when they did? I mean, after Schwarber, I think the general feeling was, that they were set. So when did you think that this was a realistic possibility?
When I started getting texts from Bryce, and then Scott told me that there's some genuine interest. So I was just in the state of mind of just being as open to everything as possible, and I didn't know what was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? Opening day was at that time 20 days away. I still didn't know where I was going to go, so I was just trying to be as present and just being at home as possible and waiting for whatever was going to come my way.
And then you kind of broke it, right? I mean, you posted on Instagram. Were you sitting on the art museum steps?
Yeah, I took that photo back in 2019.
Okay, finish up with Rob on the right.
Nick, I keep hearing from everybody how much better and the desire you have to get much better. Pretty damn good right now. How much better can you be?
Well, I guess we'll find out, right?
Perfect. All right, thank you guys. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Scott.
How's your family doing? Everybody's good? The parents are all right and everything? Good. How about your grandparents?